What overlooked problem that is never shown in apocalypse movies shows would be the reason you get killed during one? I don't think any apocalypse movie has ever addressed the menstruation problem. I should buy a menstrual cup just for the apocalypse. Word on the street is they are amazing, just don't ask which street. Everyone in The Walking Dead and other shows' movies has perfect vision. I wear contacts and am absolutely blind without them. But since you get nasty infections from wearing them too long without proper cleaning solution, it's safe to say contacts wouldn't be a viable option. Also, I would give myself about a week before I lose my glasses, so I'm a goner as soon as those suckers are lost. Survival of the fittest. Maybe those with poor vision were killed off already. The show started off focusing, no pun, on people with perfect vision because it'd be pretty short otherwise. Meanwhile, off camera, those poor blind bastards get killed because they can't see that someone in their crew is infected, or from severe pink eye. The fact that I live in the UK, so there will be no guns anywhere easily accessible. We'd have to resort to cricket bats and fisticuffs. Ha! But the zombies won't have guns either. Just thought I should shed some light on the perspective of the African American community. Anytime there are black people in post-apocalyptic movies, they stay with the freshest fades. Where are they finding a barber? Yes. Black lady POV. I always call this out when I see a black person with non-natural hair in an end-of-world situation. I can't remember which show or movie or whatever it was, but there was a black woman with straight hair running around. Like, really? Who's maintaining her relaxer every couple of weeks? Or how is she finding the time to mess with a hot comb while trying to outrun zombies? Who the fuck is cutting the grass? I heard that when they were shooting The Walking Dead, they asked the people not to mow their lawns, but they did it anyway, because they wanted them to look nice because they were going to be on TV. Gasoline, oh so precious in the apocalypse, has a pretty shitty shelf life and would probably stop working by the end of the year at the latest. Injuries. Most badasses like Rick Grimes shake him off like gnats. In reality, you get shot or break a leg, you're going to die 9-10 times. Dehydration. They never really show the severity of it on shows, but without water for like 2 days you're not going to function well at all, even if it doesn't kill you yet. My husband is really into zombie survival shit, and has many of the supplies he need to hightail it into the woods and live happily for quite a while. But there's one problem. I leave leftovers out on the counter for an hour, and he's like, we should probably throw this away. He flips out if something has been in the refrigerator more than a few days. This yogurt expires today. Do you think it's still good? Motherfucker is gonna die of fucking salmonella within 2 weeks while I sit on his ammo pile and live forever on half-rotten beef stew that's been in the freezer for a year. Asthma attack. Like any other medication-dependent illness, I'd only last as long as I had my meds. I've thought about this. I have asthma and that medication expires. Even if I raided a pharmacy and stocked up on inhalers, I'd only be good for a couple years. And if I couldn't get my hands on them, I'd be a goner. Running away from, well, anything, would just give me an asthma attack. I'm useless. Go on without me. I'm not convinced inhalers expire. I suspect that's just A, play it safe, B, force more sales. Pharmacist here. You're right. The expiry dates are based on the manufacturer's best guess, based on accelerated stability studies, of guaranteed stability up to that date. Tons of meds last way longer than their expiry. For example, the US Army stockpiles meds and has checked if stuff like amoxicillin or painkillers were still good 20+ years after expiry, and they still were. A notable exception for bad things to use beyond expiry is the EpiPen. It loses potency very quickly and would not be reliable in an emergency. Unsafe drinking water. Pretty much all tap water in the US is treated. In an apocalypse, that will stop. I'd probably die of dysentery or cholera. I have IBS, so I would probably be taken by the slow zombies while taking a dump. Seriously, I have to take like 4 a day sometimes, so that's a lot of time when I'm vulnerable, especially if I'm traveling and had to go behind a bush. Nobody ever brushes their teeth. Dental care is important, damn it. I always wondered how they managed to deal with each other's rancid breath. As someone who lives out in the country on a farm, most of these things you guys are mentioning aren't that big of a deal. We have our own wells, one of which even has a hand pump. I don't live too far away from wooded areas with plenty of accessible wood to burn in the winter. Would get to use the good old hand saws though. I plant a garden every year and have a cellar, so that's not an issue in storing goods. We have lots of guns and animals nearby, including deer, bears, elk, turkey, cougars, basically everything that is worth hunting. We have grain bins full of wheat from August until March-April, 40,000 bushels, so we could make flour for a long time. My house is about 15 to 20 miles away from a river which is heavily dammed, as well as the same distance from a large wind farm, so it's likely that we could get power established even eventually. I suppose my biggest threat is actually other people. In a truly end-of-the-world situation, other people might just shoot me because they are desperate. Hard to protect against that. I had a guy I work with who was a bit of a survivalist nut, always talking about how many guns he had and all the crap he was hoarding. One day, after being teased about it, he asked how we expected to survive an apocalyptic event. Looked him straight in the eye and said I plan on dropping a rock on his head and taking all his gear. We didn't talk much after that. Winter. I don't think people understand how difficult it would be for the average person to survive a harsh, relentless winter. I never could get over how they spent the entire Little House on the Prairie season of Walking Dead talking about how lucky they were to have a place to stay during winter, how often winter was mentioned was coming, and then at the end you are thinking, wow, well, best of fucking luck to them now that those plans are fucked. You sit down for the new season thinking, oh hoich, and you thought the zombies were the only threat. Try starvation and frostbite on for size CORL. But nope, fast forward to them eating beans in a drum circle and everyone is fine. Let's just skip all that boring double jeopardy of zombies mixed with actual survival. Same problem with the end of Snowpiercer. No way those two had the training or knowledge to survive a single week. They'd all be dead. I'm certain I would die from being sarcastic to the wrong person, or at the wrong time. In fact, that's probably how I'll die anyway. Seeing as I'm pretty sure I've adapted to photosynthesize from computer and mobile device screens, I'd probably die of malnutrition pretty soon after the power went out. Or you'd get fat from sunlight and be worshipped by an untold number of women vying for your access to your advanced genetics. Top of all, nobody talks about the average fat-ass person who cannot run for even a kilometer or cannot handle weapons. It is always about a fit ex-army or ex-cop. It's not even an issue of being fat, it's general sedentary life. Fat, thin, or somewhere in between, most people live fairly sedentary lives. Being able to really run is something that most people are going to have a hard time doing past a 100-meter dash. Climbing more than 5 flights of stairs too. And climbing? I feel like most adults probably wouldn't be able to do a single pull-up, much less would they be able to really scale terrain if necessary. I think one of the most striking things is that nothing has ever caught on fire, and if it does, it never spreads. If you just let a house in many regular suburbs burn, there's a pretty good chance it will spread to other houses if left unchecked. In older neighborhoods where houses were built closer together from old-style materials, this becomes an even larger risk. I don't think this really poses that big a threat to a group, but you'd expect to see a few more swaths of burnout areas that never got help because of a lack of firefighters. Damn maternal instincts would make me protect my kid. Carrying him would slow me down, plus he is noisy equals zombie fodder. Also, I think no one has addressed the lack of proper sleep problem. I already have sleep problems. I've been training for this my whole life. As much as I would love to think I would die fighting off a massive horde of zombies, fighting until the last round in my mag, I would probably die of some unknown infection I got and failed to find the proper medication to treat it. The latter is so boring. This probably wouldn't kill anyone, but I always wondered what would happen if someone had braces on. They'd be stuck with braces practically forever. Food poisoning. My immune system isn't great even with vitamins and disinfectant, and every time I get food poisoning I end up dropping like 5 to 7 pounds by the time I feel comfortable eating again. This isn't a problem when I can just eat Ben and Jerry's to get my weight back up, but eating partially cooked squirrels shot by a redneck who reuses bolts in an apocalypse, I wouldn't last 3 months. Bears, yo. All those dead bodies in the street? You'd be battling animals you've never even fucking heard of. What unexpected problem would kill you in an apocalypse? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.